James, what are you doing? Are you doing more calf raises? James, look, I know you want to work on your bod for New Year's, but James, what are all these smudges? You're getting your gravy all over my walls, man. Look, James, zombies don't do calf raises. And zombies don't wear sweatbands. And zombies don't play soccer. They even wrote a book about that. Here, let me show you. Look, it's even in the literature, as foretold by the Adventures of the Bailey School Kids, entry number 15 from the year 1995. It's more than 30 years ago, James. Oh, I guess I never taught you contractions. Or how to read. Fine. Get back to your calf raises. Zombies have done a lot in the last 100 years. They've walked, they've talked, they've crawled, they've run, they've been to space, they've taken to lakes and islands, they have pursued the rigors of education. They've learned to cherish every part of their day, all the seasons, and have even gotten a little bit festive. They lead, they love a lot sometimes. They dance, they rave, they wrestle, they're animated, they are reanimated. They launch booming landscaping corporations and failed Nintendo enterprises. So why oh why don't zombies play soccer? And why don't vampires wear polka dots or witches do backflips? To answer that, we'll have to travel back to the late 80s, where co-authors Debbie Dady and Marsha Thornton Jones were teaching at a Kentucky elementary school when they decided to team up and write children's books. For a year and a half, they'd hot potato ideas during lunch breaks until one especially bad day when Dady students would not stop goofing off, and T. Jones wished she could mutate into a towering creature with fangs and claws to get the kids to listen. That gave Dady an idea. What if the new third grade teacher was a monster? Thus, the pair went on to pen and publish Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots in 1990, about a mysterious teacher from Transylvania with a coffin in her crawl space and a glowing green brooch. It was a hit for Scholastic, and subsequent one-book deals grew into four-book deals, converting the pair's lunch breaks and bad days into a series of chapter books tracking the adventures of the Bailey School Kids, the mythical monstrous adults they meet, and the things those supposed creatures don't do. Between 1990 and 2006, the series spawned 51 numbered entries, and various series specials and spin-offs pushed the franchise total to 83. Scholastic resurrected the series in 2021 with graphic novel adaptations by Pearl Lowe. Zombies Don't Play Soccer is the 15th entry in the Bailey School Kids series. Debbie Dady got the idea from one of her children.
Plus, they actually tell me things, like zombies don't play soccer. My kids said, Mom, you should write a soccer book. So we did.
The book begins at soccer practice, where we meet the series' main characters, Liza, Melody, Howie, and Eddie. Eddie is the troublemaker, a descendant of Bart Simpson and Dennis the Menace. Melody is the leader of the group, the best soccer player for the team, and the only character with a distinct look: black pigtails. The other three look like Seamus and Maid Marian had triplets. But Eddie sometimes has a baseball cap, or his hair is up. Howie, his hair is down, because he is the boring, milquetoast, ambivalent one. I say that lovingly because if the aura of the four Bailey School Kids turned into one of those personality tests with 4 quadrants, I am a Howie. Then there's Liza. Wikipedia says Liza is scared and sensitive, but I often get her mixed up with Melody because they both take turns in bits of wit and bravery. I mean, Liza tries to wake up a zombie by tickling its chin. Zombies Don't Play Soccer starts with our main characters waiting for their new coach. Eddie made the old coach quit by slipping vinegar in his water bottle and making him set the world record for distance spitting. A recurring theme in the Bailey School books is Eddie's motivation to break the spirit of every adult he meets, including the new mythical ones coming to town. And that, of course, includes the new soccer coach, Coach Graves, who arrives with a bellow in the distance but shifts from haunting figure to a strict disciplinarian, running drills and yelling plays and whipping their lazy, out-of-shape bodies into top form before the big game against their rivals next week. Our first full zombie reference drops when Liza says, "I hope you're happy, Eddie. This new coach is all your fault. I'm dead on my feet." And then Eddie extends his arms and lurches towards her, saying, "I'm the Walking Dead."
I can't help but wonder, but where third graders in 1995 would even know zombies from? I mean, what's their frame of reference? I was the same age as these kids when these books came out, and I can only think of a few examples. One, Michael Jackson's Thriller video, which is still popular today and will never not stop being popular. Two is The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode 3. They did a riff of Return of the Living Dead. And then I also remember spending a lot of time in video stores when I was a kid, and I would always see these two zombie movies just staring back at me and scaring the hell out of me. One is Night of the Living Dead remake from 1990, and then two is The Dead Pit, also from 1990. So maybe Eddie watched one of these things, or maybe he played Corpse Killer for the Sega CD because, somebody had to play that game.
After practice, an anachronistic witchy woman arrives on the field, just shows up straight out of Spirit Halloween, and chews into the coach about how much the kids suck at soccer and how the coach needs to quit and move back home with her to New Orleans. Coach Graves says, "No way, bro. This is my life now." And I admire this moxie from Coach Graves. All in, day one. You gotta respect it. But the next day, the coach is sitting all mum and quiet and unresponsive. Not drooling, but I pictured her drooling. The kids practice anyway, which is mostly just a bunch of horsing around in the presence of a soccer ball, but they eventually huddle up and wonder why Coach Graves is so different. Melody mentions her cousin once knew of an enchantress who turned people into walking automatons. Enchantress? Automatons? These are the two biggest words in this book, and they are crammed into one sentence. And automatons is spaced in just the weirdest way. I never read books as a kid, but if I did, I definitely would have pronounced this as automatons.
That's not an exaggeration, by the way. I only remember reading 5 books before the age of 20. Bone Chiller's Welcome to the Alien Inn, Chocolate Fever, a couple of those horrible Harry books, though I never really remember finishing them, but I feel like I was always reading them for a couple of years. And then a biography on Benjamin Banneker.
But anyway, Melody thinks the mysterious witchy woman put a spell on Coach Graves. The friends all make fun of Melody, which is where Liza drops our title. After all, zombies don't play soccer. Coach Graves staggers home with the team ball, and the kids follow to watch in horror as she digs a big grave and tosses the ball in the pit. Melody thinks this is because the witchy woman must have told the coach to make the ball disappear. But why wouldn't you just throw it down a hill or over a fence, slash it with a knife, or chuck it in a dumpster? Well, I guess we'll never know, because Eddie dives into the grave to retrieve the team ball, and Melody rescues Eddie when he's in too deep. The kids buy into Melody's cousin's idea of a zombie curse, and decide it is now up to them to break the curse, bring the coach back to life, and beat their rivals in a big game.
Okay, so we are playing in the voodoo genre of zombie lore. So there's no flesh eating and zombies don't play soccer. And voodoo zombies were most popular between 1929 and 1967 and often depict zombies as mindless servants who do the bidding of others. Also, Coach Graves is from New Orleans, which is a U.S. city synonymous with voodoo. Voodoo, the religion, not the 1994 Corey Feldman movie. Just to be clear. Okay, we are firmly into spoiler territory here. So if you wish to preserve the mystique of this 70-page kids book from 30 years ago, please skip along to the museum ceremony.
Melody brings peanuts to share with Coach Graves because Melody's cousin said that salt breaks zombie curses. This aligns with the lore of voodoo zombies. I'm reading Zombies Don't Play Soccer concurrently with The Magic Island, which is the first book to popularize the term zombie in the English language. It is a nonfiction, first-hand, mostly reputable account of Haitian voodoo. In the chapter, Dead Men Working in the Cane Fields, a group of servant zombies at a parade are mistakenly fed a salted treat, and the zombies then saunter off in different directions to return to the grave sites and resume their peace. In Zombies Don't Play Soccer, the peanuts do nothing, but that's because they turn out to be unsalted. Coach Graves eventually eats a whole bag of garlic chips that Howie brought, though, to no effect. Liza then tries to tickle Coach Graves under her chin because that wakes up her grandma when she's asleep. Tickling does not align with the lore of voodoo zombies. Or maybe it does. I'll get back to you. Do you know what finally breaks the zombie spell on Coach Graves? Great teamwork. Executing the fundamentals. The Bailey Boomers beat their rivals in a last-second highlight play which wakes Coach Graves from the dead. And then the coach hugs the witchy woman, who again teleports to the soccer field, who is also revealed to be the grandma to Coach Graves.
Now, I haven't read a kid's book in a long time because I've been a non-kid for decades, but this was a welcome re-entry point. Debbie Dady says that these books are ultimately about friendship and that the mystical adults that come to town are really just a vessel for all of those stories. And you really get a sense of that just moving throughout the plot. I really like all of the hijinks and the gumption and all of the teasing and the taunting that exists between the main characters. I especially like the camaraderie and the friction that exists between Melody and Eddie, who are ultimately just two sides of the same coin. With every artifact that we review for the channel, I can't help but wonder, but what is the legacy of this piece of storytelling? Like, how will it be remembered? We're 30 years after the release of this book, and there's virtually no footprint anywhere. Just on YouTube, I found a couple of channels who attempted to do read-throughs of each individual chapter. They gave up after a few chapters. I found a couple of other channels who talked about the Bailey School Kids book series as a whole, but not necessarily Zombies Don't Play Soccer individually. I looked into the authors and all of their works. So you have Marsha Thornton Jones. She wrote more than 130 kids books in several series. And then you have Debbie Dady, who wrote 160 kids books in several series. So you have all of those efforts from those two authors that kind of eclipse the Bailey School Kids series and Zombies Don't Play Soccer overall. I mean, it is one of 83 entries in that one single series. It's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to feature Zombies Don't Play Soccer here, because I fear like it's just going to be lost to time. I mean, I was the target audience for these books when they came out in 1995, and I never even heard of them until I researched zombie books at the age of 39. So I don't know. It's kind of exciting to really take my time and figure out what this book was all about, the series that it was a part in, and kind of put more of a spotlight on it. All right, let's take a closer look at the physical media here. So I have 4 different versions. These two are pretty much identical, except that one has the entry number and the other one has the price. This one here also has a blue spine that it kind of transforms into. Aside from that, there's really no difference between these two covers through and through. They were both released in September 1995, and I have no idea why they coexist. Then you have in the 2000s, there was a re-release with new cover art and a new banner. I really like this new cover art, so I like that it's also featured on the audiobook CD, but I do prefer this old banner more. Now, there's a couple versions of this book that I really wish I did have, but they do not exist. So the first print run of the Bailey School Kids Adventure series was not originally anticipated to be a series, so there's no banner. It really wasn't until Scholastic started to option the co-authors for 4-book deals that they really considered it to be a series. So issues 1 through 10, these do not have the Bailey School Kids banners in their original releases. I believe Witches Don't Do Backflips is the last time that they did this artwork without any form of a Bailey School Kids banner. So yeah, unfortunately, Zombies Don't Play Soccer do not have an entry like this without the banner. And then you have, in the 2020s, they started to do these graphic novel adaptations for Bailey School Kids stories. These are really fun to read through. It was really cool to read this and compare it to the first release of Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots. But they only did 4 different stories for these, and I think they stopped in the year 2021 or 2022, but I really wish that they would do an adaptation for Zombies Don't Play Soccer, because I would love to have that in the museum. But overall, really just love the presentation of these books as a whole. Just everything through and through in terms of the colors and the titles and the inventiveness. There's really just one book that I wish that I did buy in one of these lots that I got that I didn't, and that is Frankenstein Does Not Plant Petunias. It's just a really fun thing to say. But overall, we could probably now move on to the induction.
All right, James and I have arrived to the museum, and we are ready to introduce the second ever artifact into the Museum of Zombie Media. Zombies Don't Play Soccer. Okay, so for today's artifact, I have the 3 different book releases and the audiobook release. And then I have several entries from the Bailey School Kids book series that will also be contained in the artifact that's entering the museum. What will not be joining today is this graphic novel, Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots, but I am going to keep it in the museum hold, just as a reminder to keep a lookout for Zombies Don't Play Soccer if it ever releases as a graphic novel. But this is what we will be working with today. James, would you care to take a photo to commemorate the occasion? Okay, perfect. And then how about a little bit of fanfare, James? On February 16th, 2026, I hereby induct Zombies Don't Play Soccer into the Museum of Zombie Media. James, if you will do the honors. Oh. Thank you, good sir.